Everybody. I hope you enjoyed my presentation during the MCA conference. And I want to show you now how I did some of that stuff using the Movavi video editor. And this should be a pretty quick video. If you take a look here, this is what you should be downloading. You just go to Movavi and you can download it for free. And then if you want to pay for it, it's really just $34 for a lifetime membership or a license. So it's really, really cheap and easy to use. And I'm going to show you that now. Let's go into it. So I'm going to open up the video editor. It looks like this when you open it. It's very easy to use. Like I said, you're just going to go ahead and click a project here under full feature mode. And then all we have to do is add our video. And if you're like me, most of my class videos are actually one long or 2 or 3 long videos that contain multiple segments. So if you want to break those up, you can do that very, very easily here. You also could just stop and record the camera to break up the digital recording into the snippets of each student. However you do that is up to you. I'm going to go ahead and add a media file of everybody, or a long media file with lots of different students in it. It was really easy to do. I clicked on add media file and I clicked on the MP4 that I recorded actually last fall. So here we have a student. I want just this student. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the rest of the students that are here. Let's just see, actually that was perfect. You can see that she's walking away, and then there's a new student. Actually, there's multiple new students that will come in. We don't want to see any of them in this video, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this little split button. And the minute I click it, you'll see that it's broken the video up into 2. So what I can do now is I can highlight. If you notice, I just click on this and it got a little bit more yellow, and I can go ahead and remove the rest of that video. So now I literally have just this student. It's actually really convenient. I can actually now copy her. And I'm going to copy her a couple of times here. We'll do 3 times for me to show you a couple of the different features that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and click paste, literally copying and pasting 3 different times, and I'm moving this red line over so that it pastes at the very end of each video. So now I literally have 4 of the exact same 3-minute clip of this student talking. The reason why is because the first clip I'd like to keep the same. I just want to watch it beginning to end with no special effects or anything like that. I think it's just helpful to look at. Let's go ahead and move on to this next one. So for this one, I think what I want to do is maybe highlight her stance, right? Let's focus on that. So I'm going to go ahead and make this red line go just to the very beginning of the second set of the second video here, and you can see that it's highlighted in yellow, which is good. That means this is the one that we're working on. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double click on that. And when I double click on it, you'll notice here that some options come up. Again, I wanted to highlight. Remember, I was telling you I wanted to highlight her stance. So I'm going to go ahead and click on highlight. Of course, we don't want to conceal. We're trying to see, so we're going to go and click on highlight. And I like to make my opacity a little bit harsher, like let's say 70%, so you can see that there's a much darker, tint around her when I do that. I'm also going to go ahead and outline. I like to have that's just personal. I like to do that. And now let's move this just to where her stance would be, right? Just down here. And I'd like to capture enough in case she moves, so I can go ahead and do that. Right? We're done, right? I can click apply. It's done. So now when I click on this video, you can even see it will actually show you in just a moment. There we go. We've got her stance being highlighted. It's going to look really good when it's actually published. That's it. So now we've got a highlight for this entire section, but let's go ahead and move it to this next one. Let's play with another feature that I showed you guys in the presentation. So again, I'm going to highlight now this next square, and this time let's say I actually want to zoom in on her facial expression. So again, I use one camera. I just let it sit there, so I don't always zoom in and out. That might be kind of annoying, so we want to actually go ahead and zoom that now. I can click on pan and zoom. I can add a zoom in feature. You can see that it's in red, so it's really easy to do. And from here, in about 10 seconds or so, I can go ahead and make the zoom happen for her face. Right? Simple as that. We've actually already added it. It's ready to go. If you watch me click preview, it actually will now zoom right in for us. And now I get a much better view of her, eye contact, facial expressions, those sorts of things. The very last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just one last feature, the pan feature. Potentially, this might be useful, and you'll see why in just a moment. going to go ahead and do the same thing of highlighting here, this last square, and moving the red line a little bit further back. If I double click on this square, what's going to happen if I do it correctly? There we go. I'm going to move it back a little bit there. And what I want to do now is I actually want to do a pan, right? So let's go ahead, and what I mean by pan is we want to get rid of all of this excess important part of the room. So I'm going to go ahead and click on pan this time and click add. And now it's going to give me a square. I'm going to go ahead and pan so that really most of the screen, it's going to literally move it to the left, right? And you'll see why, again, that's important in a minute. Let's just take a look and see what that looks like. Again, as the video will automatically do it for us, it actually is already starting to create a split screen. So it gives you an idea of what I'm trying to do here. And that's the very last thing I want to show you, which is the split screen. Really easy to do. The only thing that we need is another video. So I'm going to go ahead and click again on File and Add Media Files in the upper left corner. And this time I'm going to just choose another video. And that plays it towards the end here. But I will say this, right? So obviously what I'm doing here is comparing her to another student, which is obviously not something I would ever do in real life. I'm doing it just for this presentation to make it nice and simple. What I'm going to do is you can just lift this video, this last video that I just played, and you can stick it somewhere above the video in the one that I just added a second ago. Now, the only other thing that we want to do is we want to actually make a split screen. So that's really important. We're going to double click on this as well. It just takes a minute. Sometimes it plays around. And you'll notice that when I click on this, when you click on the upper video, and just sort of like for picture-in-picture or split screen, that sort of thing, it now gives me some options in the upper right corner, and I can switch to side by side. And just by doing that, magically, what will happen in about 10 seconds, let me just move this back so you can see what I'm talking about. Goes a little nuts when I'm actually recording this, but you get the idea. So it's just created this sort of picture-in-picture split screen, which is really cool. And so here, obviously, again, you're not going to compare two different students. That seems like a bad idea, but it gives you an idea of how you can take two different videos and very, very easily split screen them and make them left and right? So lots of other things you can do, which I'm not going to get into here. I just wanted to show you very briefly what I was able to do. Honestly, if you just play around with this for a few minutes, after you do 1 or 2 videos, it takes about 5 minutes per student. And the reason why I like it so much is it allows for me to give feedback in a way that's not just me telling them what to do or writing. I'm trying to highlight certain areas for them to focus on and to give me more of their own information and more of their own feedback. And frankly, when you actually highlight certain areas, it forces them not to look at, the entire video at once, and I think it's kind of helpful. Anyway, the very last thing I want to show you, obviously we want to turn this into a video, which is super easy to do. You go up here to the export button and you can click export video. From here, I like to choose the highest quality, but you can do whatever you want. You can save it in multiple file types, whatever is working for you. And the other thing that you can do, which I think is kind of cool, is you can upload it right to YouTube or even to your Google Drive, right? So there you have it. You've got yourself now a start video of her just talking for 3 minutes. We've got another kind of section here of her looking at just specifically her stance. We're going to look closely at her facial expressions. And lastly, we're going to split screen her from maybe the first presentation and the second one. I did that in very, very quick amount of time, and I actually took a lot of time to talk about it. You can do this in no time, I promise. I really appreciate everybody's time and watching this video.